Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Well, hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Mark Homer, who's the founder and CEO of law firm marketing agency Get Noticed, Get Found. Mark, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Hey, you're welcome. I always love talking to people that are really making a difference in specific industries. So you're focusing on law firm marketing. But before we dive into that and get some of your tips and tricks and techniques, give us a little bit of background on yourself and what led you to start your marketing firm.
Well, that's a long story, but I'll shorten it as much as I can. So I when I came out of college back in the day, I was working at a small tech called IBM. This was right around the early 90s. So and back then, I don't remember, hiring IBM, right? And so when this little small thing called the internet happened and World Wide Web and stuff, and we're talking about 94, 95-ish, and I happened to be at IBM, and companies started hiring them to build websites because they were told they had to have websites. And so I got to build like General Motors, Abbott, like a bunch of like large company websites. I mean, it's embarrassing to go back and look at them now, but in like 95, I built some websites.
They were rocking good back then, though.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But the interesting thing is, like, I've kind of stayed on the intersection of, I'd say, marketing and technology since then. So I've always been around, like right at the edge of either like providing consulting on technology, and then a lot of that time was spent consulting and technology for marketing purposes, tracking data, implementing campaigns, all that, so through the years, I've just always been in that intersection. And, like, to be able to kind of be a marketer who's been around, literally built some of the first websites, is kind of a nice badge of honor and has given me a lot of, I think, good experience.
Yeah. So then when you got into marketing, what led you to marketing for specifically law firms?
Yeah, I've had a few companies. This is my third and favorite so far. So, but my last company, they're still going strong, but it was marketing technology for large scale events, and the clients were all like Fortune 100 type companies. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, a lot of big budgets, a lot of cool technology we were doing, but you never really saw the impact of what you were doing, right? So it's a bunch of numbers and data went through, big budgets, and I was left for wanting something more, and so kind of sold a stake in that, and kind of there's a move involved with moving back to where I grew up with family and kids, and all those kind of intersections of life happened. So I started looking for the next thing, and had a friend who said, "Hey, I have some doing some consulting for some small businesses. You want to help?" And started doing that, and really enjoyed, seeing not just the differences, you make kind of quickly for, the revenue, but also seeing them like be able to hire another staff member because of some marketing I did, right? That's a really cool feeling. So I started doing, more and more, and I formed with my original, but my original co-founders and I kind of like, had a number of different clients, but we happened to just somehow had like 3 or 4 attorneys, and we were seeing a lot of success with them. They were probably, I think, the most accidental entrepreneurs. It's one of the reasons I love the legal industry, in that they got into this to practice law, not to open a business. A lot of people go into business, they went. And I mean, we're not, we're business owners and marketers, right? So we did some research and found that, this is only 10-ish years ago, and the majority of like marketing budgets were still going to the yellow pages for law firms, right?
Yeah.
Which is scary to think, that's just 10 years ago.
Yeah, because that's not that long. That was like a minute and a half ago, really. So yellow pages still were a thing.
Yeah, and that small, we're talking like, $50,000, $60,000 a year on a yellow page ad.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But guess what? Don't you think that, and this is going back in time, but they kept people in any industry, but attorneys kept doing it because it worked. But at some point, someone had to wake up and go, hold up. For the next 6 months, let's ask, hey, thanks for calling XYZ law firm. How did you hear about us? And they start noticing, well, nobody's calling because of the Yellow Pages. We better stop doing that. And then now they're going, but now what? And then that's what led you to go, there's some great technology. How are people finding vendors and service providers? And it's online. That's where we live today.
Absolutely. I like to joke that one of the reasons Yellow Pages hung around so long in the legal industry is that it was a one-day marketing strategy plan and execution you had to make as a lawyer, right? That you got all your marketing done in one day. When the Yellow Pages rep came in, you bought the year of Yellow Pages, and then somebody sent over the design, you said it's approved, and your marketing was done, right? Yes. Now now I come in and say, hey, we need to talk every couple of weeks. We understand what's going on. Let's figure out all the different campaigns and social media. You bring up the word social media, and it's like so,
right. Or bring up the word pay-per-click advertising or Facebook ads, and great, and it's interesting. I've never heard that correlation before, like the one-day marketing plan and budget, because that really is what it was. But yet now, what happens is I'll ask people that I talk to and say, hey, Mark, how long do you think the Facebook ad or the Google ad campaign works for you? And they're like, okay, I don't, and I'm like, okay, hold up, it's a trick question. It only works as long as you keep paying it. And the second you stop paying that campaign, poof, it's gone. So those are good and those are wonderful in addition to good, solid marketing strategy, but not as a one-off and a standalone, because that is like renting versus buying.
Correct. And that's, it is a part of a strategy. Mm-hmm. It is not the strategy. Right? Yeah.
Right. And not to demean it, because it's a great part of it when you've got the great branding, the great website, the great marketing copy, and the great process in place. But if you send people from clicking on an ad to go to some junky looking website, you just wasted money.
Right. And that's the approach that GNGF found and the team we've built. That's the approach we take with law firms is we try to identify potential clients that are starting to understand that I have a business that happens to practice law, and not I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
So when we do that, we're able to kind of say, okay, now let's step back. What are your goals of your business? What is the business kind of strategy now for the next few years? Now, how do we fit a marketing strategy into that? Right, because it's a marketing strategy that fits the goals of the business, not just the latest flavor of the day. Right? It's like, oh, people are talking about social media, so I'm going to do social media or pay-per-click ads or whatever. So, from law firm to law firm, it's going to be different tactics that are working in their market based on their goals, what they're looking to do. Somebody wants to hire a bunch of people and get, a lot bigger and focus on a certain type of part of the market. That's one thing. Somebody else may be, it's my partner and I, that's all we want it to be. I just don't want to have to worry about chasing down clients, and those are two different marketing strategies, right?
It really is. But you know what? You can't build a wonderful house without a good foundation. And it sounds to me like that's one of the big things that sets you apart from your competition, which is let's not just go ready, fire, and then maybe aim. Let's plan out a strategy. What are you looking to accomplish? What sets your firm apart? And then let's pick and choose and not just blast out, this and this and this campaign because we can. Let's do it sequentially. Let's do it with a strategy in mind, and then it all works together.
Correct. Yeah, that's absolutely right. And what we found is when you have a measured approach, you also, one can show the impact, right? Somebody can say, well, we want to hire 2 more people this year. Did they hire 2 more people at the end of the year, right? We have business goals we get to check off, not just, hey, you got more visitors to your website as a kind of a vanity metric, right?
It's really funny you should say vanity metric, because literally at the time of this recording this morning, I teach marketing for a few universities, and I was in a digital marketing class, and one of the topics was, how do you optimize conversions? And one of the articles I posted is on vanity metrics, and a lot of people think, yay, page views are up. But what does that really mean? Now that's a pre-metric, and that means that if page views are up and the message is good, then probably other good metrics should be taking place. But make sure you don't get jaded with those vanity metrics.
Exactly. And don't get caught up on them, right? because and I think that part of it, sometimes agencies or service providers tend to, with lack of any other data, use data to kind of like, as some vanity, we call vanity metrics, but it's maybe the only data they have.
Yeah.
Because when you're working with a small business owner, right, and I think, our average client is going to be anywhere from like 2 to 20, people in the firm. We have some that are larger, but that's kind of our sweet spot. Big enough to afford a marketing agency, not so big they have their own marketing department, right?
Yeah.
So when you're working with that size, they're very busy in their business and trying to get some of the information back that a marketer needs, which is really important. Like the feedback loop back to a marketer is very important to somebody who's hiring an agency. So saying like, yeah, these leads that you said came in, these weren't great. These were awesome. This turned into a client. This one didn't. Here's why. That feedback loop is so important to continue to, massage and optimize the campaign.
Yeah, because otherwise you're flying blind. If you, like the example about the Yellow Pages, if you didn't ask where did you hear about us and didn't discover one day that 2% of your incoming clients came from the Yellow Pages, why are we spending $50,000-$60,000? So it really is that data and analyzing it, and it doesn't have to feel like deep analyzation. It just needs to be, let's just have some certain things we keep in place to know what's working, what's not, and then can we tweak something? Or when do you get to the point where it's like, you know what, our audience just isn't on whatever, Facebook or Google, but doggone if they're not responding really well to this other campaign, let's pour the grease on the fire over here. And that's what you're bringing to your clients, is guiding them to see where all that is. And I think that's a really big piece, because otherwise you feel like you're just paying some agency and hoping for the best.
Yeah, I always recommend to business owners that, like put some of that work on the agency. I mean, it's our job to show our value, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and we're going to ask for that feedback loop. So give us that data, but let us crunch some of the numbers to help show you this, or set up the systems in place to track call tracking and all the URL tracking, all the things you can do to know where something came from without even having to ask somebody these days, right? So getting all that stuff in place, working with the agency, and then put the work back on the agency. That's their job. So it's our job to go to our clients and say, these campaigns are working, these aren't. Hey, we had a goal of trying to get you 8 more cases a month. You know what? We hit 6 this month. Here's what we're changing because of that. We noticed this happened last month. This changed, right? I mean, we're not going to hit it out of the park every single day, but we're going to be consistent and adjust and adjust and adjust. And that's, for us, it's turned into like nice long-term relationships with our clients, which I much prefer.
And do you ever find this, because what you just said there made me think of something, it's kind of like, I'm sure there's an actual phrase for it, but it's kind of like getting jaded or getting bored with seeing the same thing over and over, meaning this. Let's say that you found a Facebook ad that worked really well, and you're like rocking and rolling on these new cases, and 2 months, 3 months goes by and it stops working as well because what? People are used to seeing the same old thing. You've got to refresh it. Do you find that even when there's a campaign that's working, you don't just chalk it up to let's just let it roll? You still have to maintain freshness and change out an image or a picture or a headline or something to keep that fresh in front of the audience, or else they're going to stop responding. But yet the medium, the Facebook ad campaign or whatever it might be, might just be fine. It just might need that tweaking.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can't set it and forget it when it comes to any kind of marketing. Like even some of the most tried and true marketing campaigns in any big brand or whatever, change every few years, right? And the important thing is to remember it's not always just maybe the consumers, but maybe a competitor came in and started spending money in something that happened, right? Maybe the platform changed the way it did an algorithm on things. And so, there's always something going on. And at the end of the day, we're also always trying to get better, right? So if we have an ad that's working, that's great, but we're always trying to test another one, right? I'm always trying to beat the ad I have up there.
Yeah.
So you're always testing, always improving, and that's what's going to, it's definitely a long-term game. I mean, these are not, as much as people want, to like, hey, if I spend $5,000 on paid advertising, I'd suddenly get a bunch of clients. It takes time, it takes optimizing, it takes understanding the business strategy behind it. to make the stuff work. Time and effort is one thing that business owners can't get away from, right?
And that specialized knowledge is huge, because you might think that, oh, well, all you need to do is double check this and watch that and tweak this and update that. But at the end of the day, a law firm is too busy for doing their own, internal work. They can't keep up with doing this on their own. So having someone that is specialized in focusing on delivering the results is the most important thing. And it really kind of boils down to, doing what you do best, the highest and best use of your time, the 80-20 rule. You need to be focusing on that 20% that is really going to bring the results, so that it brings you the 80% of the results you're looking for.
Right. I mean, if you're a law firm, you went to law school, you put a lot of time and effort and money into an education to become, an authority in a very particular area. You didn't go to marketing school, right?
Yeah.
I actually probably wanted to do. I actually went to marketing in school and had technology courses, right? So I have a lot of experience in that. So if I can help with that one piece for a law firm, so that they can go provide better services. I mean, we're right now in the COVID crisis. I mean, when there's a crisis, you need lawyers more than ever, right?
Yeah.
There's always kind of craziness going on. So it's, so important for them to have all these things in place so that they can go help the people that they went to school to go help.
And when you think about it, who should you go talk to? Somebody calling you from India saying we can do cheap SEO, or someone that, quote unquote, wrote the book on it? So let's wrap up with giving us a little bit of a thumbnail sketch on your book, and what is some quick tips that readers will learn that they can implement in their business after reading it?
Yeah, so we wrote a book, it's about 10 years ago when we wrote the first edition. We're now on our 5th edition, so it's online law practice strategies. One thing, when you write about the internet, you do have to update it often.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's only been 5 updates.
Yeah, right. So it's online law practice strategies, and, kind of jokingly, the subtitle is How to Turn Clicks into Clients. Because we got to be marketing there too, right?
Yep.
But it's really, we approach it from just like I talked about. We start with strategy and then get into tactics, right? So we talk about, like branding and target market and, where you want your business to go. And then we try to get into here's exactly how we would do things for our clients. So the book is, it was out there to kind of like get rid of this myth that there's a lot of like secret magic sauce that marketers do. Really, it's time and experience that we have, not kind of like any kind of magical secrets. So this book says, here's all the things you can do if you want to go try to do some of these things. Yeah. And then there's, areas there where we say this is a more advanced tactic. If you want to reach out to somebody, you maybe should, like paid advertising or things like that. But there's a lot of stuff like content. There's a lot of content somebody could write and get going. Yep. So that kind of goes through it all. And, we're available on Amazon and all the major distributors.
Well, it kind of reminds me of opportunity cost. If you are spending your time doing A, you can't be spending it doing B at the same time, because the opportunity cost is what am I giving up? So if someone is trying to tinker and do their own marketing strategy, now it's fine if you're, doing some little passion business on the side. Okay, figure it out. But a law firm that is looking to expand and grow, bringing in an expert like yourself would be the most important strategy. And I love that you said strategy and tactics, because those are really, really important. But I would say that another aspect to that is once you know the strategy and you see the tactics, now you got to execute. You can't just know them. You got to put them into place, whether it's you doing a little bit internally as a firm, like you said, the content, because maybe they go, well, you know what? We can write some blog posts, but then help us get it out there, and so you can work as a team together. But, just knowing the information doesn't do anything. You've got to execute on it. So I love your concept of their strategy and tactics, and I'll make sure that in the show notes here we have the link to your GNGF.com website. But is there any other points there on your website you would like to draw out? How can people reach out and connect and maybe see if there might be a fit for your firm?
Yeah, so GNGF.com, as you mentioned, is our website. You can reach me and some of our marketing experts that I have on here at expert@GNGF.com. And we also have a great YouTube channel we've been building over the past few months that has a lot of good tip videos, interviews we've done with other people in the legal industry. So if you're a law firm, some great videos up there and you can find that at GNGF.tv. That's an easy way to remember it. And that'll get you right to the YouTube page.
Excellent. Well, Mark, thank you so much for coming on today. It was wonderful talking with you and learning about what your firm does to help law firms increase their business. So thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.